right. Hello, everyone. It's happening. It is 2 a.m. here, but yeah, an all-European final, so that's what's happening. Buku's already in the table. We're just waiting for Jonah. I'm getting the word out here. But this is the finals. It's been a long journey here. We're down to just Buku and JonahNiklas. Last season was won by a Sabine deck. Jonah's teammate, actually. I'm so humble. So Buku's here is trying to bring the repeat for Sabine. Jonah's trying to bring the repeat for the Nordic Takedown crew. And if Jonah wins, it would actually be the first player since the release of the game. Sorry, I turned up my audio a bit. I think it was low. He'd be the first player since the release of the game to win without playing green. Since the release has been basically Boba green, Sabine green, Han green won a couple times, and Krennic green won once. But never a red-blue deck. So that's what Jonah has to do today. He's got his work cut out for him, and he's actually in top 8 and in top 4. He won against Sabine decks, so he can do it. He's proven capable of it. Let's take a look at the deck list. These are also in the description if you want to take a look. Season 10's deck list will be there soon as well. This is Jonah's deck. He's on a lot of good stuff into Sabine. He's got the low-cost droids, 3 R2, 3 3PO, also a copy of Regional Governor. These 1/4s with Anakin's ability trade very well and to any 2-drop ground unit that Sabine can put down. He's also got Village Protectors, Conquer Dawn Interceptors to counter, to just, clog up the arena. Yoda with Restore. He's got, all sorts of top-end 2 Obi-Wan Lukes. Kanan's also got Restore, and he's packing all sorts of removal with, takedowns, open fires, Fell the Dragons. Potentially he's got Pillage if that comes up. So he's very well positioned to fight the aggro, but on Buku's end, he's also prepared to fight this battle. Running a pretty standard Sabine list. This is it's nothing too new. It's I know there's been lots of innovation on Sabine, and I haven't kept up with all of it. So it's not running all of the new techs. This might not be exactly what you'd expect to see at a planetary qualifier, but it is very streamlined. Sabine's with 2 Darksabers in the main. He's got the 3rd in the sideboard also. He's just running all of the good stuff. And he's made it through some heavier decks. He beat Palp Yellow twice in top 8, top 4. Also, he took a mirror in top 16. He also won a top 24 match, but I'm not sure. I can't quite see from this display what exactly it was against, but it looks like both the players are here, so I'm going to give them the go-ahead. Good luck, have fun. It's time to get started with the finals here. It all comes down to this. And Jonah will be getting initiative. And that is actually massive because Jonah benefits a lot from having initiative, being able to set up one of his 2-drops with the ability to use it in Anakin right away. In addition to those 1/4s, he's also got space units like this Anakin's Interceptor, which do the same thing in space. Buku decides to take a mulligan. He had, a pretty solid curve, but I guess he's looking for something else. And he misses a 2-drop. That's actually massive. Things are already looking really, really good for Jonah here. Fighters for Freedom is as good of a card as any as a turn 2 play here, especially if Village Breakers comes down here. Fighters is a perfect counter to that. And, K2 Rebel, Salt Fleet Lieutenant, these are all good things to have in the tank. On Jonah's side, he's got a couple potential plays this turn. He's got Yoda, he's got Fighters for Freedom, or not, sorry, Village Protectors, not Fighters for Freedom. He's also potentially got, like, Perilous Position if he decides to go for it, or even, like, Regional Governor. Notably, Buku decided to just take initiative and did not go for the Sabine ping, which I think is correct. You generally, in a matchup like this especially, you don't need to give it away if you don't have to. Well, you don't want to if you don't have to. All right, and it's Fighters into Yoda. And Buku's going to end up with initiative. Again, decides not to. Sabine keeping the initiative. Smart. Now, I think Buku's got a very key decision point as to whether or not to use his ECL right away. Or save it for Poe. Jonah picks up an open fire, which is going to make quick work of this Fighters for Freedom. All right, and Buku, it looks like, is going to burn the ECL here. Figuring he's probably going to attack over this Yoda with whatever he ECLs. If he waits till next turn and uses Poe, then Yoda would probably still be the target. So might as well do it now. And he gets that extra ping damage from Fighters for Freedom as well. And now it's Jonah's action. And probably just going to be open fire. Yep, exactly. No Darksaber for Buku. So the Sabine flip is not as big a threat. Here she comes. Is it just me, or did she flash like a Kanan for a second? All right, there's the first 5 on Jonah's base. Remember that Anakin gets bigger with every damage every 5 damage that gets taken, to be precise. He will come down next turn. In this turn, Buku picked up a Darksaber. It's never too late to play that. But depending on how things go, Jonah could have an out for it. He's going to go for Village Protectors, which is a great way to answer that Darksaber. Because Jonah can run over this protectors, but he's probably going to have to give up K2 to do it. And the Darksaber would effectively be nothing. So yeah, Buku's going to attack without getting a chance to play it. The speed ping does sneak through the base, even if the attack doesn't. And now Jonah's got 2 2-drops that he could play if he wants. Go 3PO, try and get some more card advantage, or try to snipe something with Regional Governor. And Poe is the call from the Regional Governor. Clairvoyant is Jonah. It's also just the easiest call. Buku still has some plays here. It looks like he's gonna just run over village protectors there. That's the second 5 here. Jonah now to 11. And Jonah's managed to get some damage through with this interceptor, which, generally speaking, that's exactly what you want to be doing in this matchup, is getting little bits of damage in and controlling the opponent's hits so that then you can flip Anakin and you don't have that far to go. You can burst him down. We saw that happen. A very clear example of that was Game 3 versus in Jonah's series with Eroth. Played control, but also managed to keep getting chip damage in. And at the end of it, he flipped Anakin, and he was already right in the verge of winning. So even if, Eroth could have answered, his Anakin, he was just so close. All right, and here's Perilous Position. Being a very, very good response here to that Darksaber. And this Poe is still just burning a hole in Buku's hand. This is the turn where Anakin can flip if Jonah wants him to. Regional Governor would survive a Fleet Lieutenant attack here. But he still might do it to set up the kill on the Governor next turn. But he's giving up a good chunk of base damage. Alright, looks like he's just going straight to base without even using the Fleet Lieutenant. I'm a bit surprised by that. Although maybe he's got like a Cassian in the resource row and he's going to go for that instead, which would make total sense. If Anakin came out this round, he would be attacking for 6. If there's a Cassian and the Cassian ends up hitting base, it'd be 7. It looks like there's not a Cassian. Buku, I think, is just going to go Sabine and then Forecast. Which I am a little bit surprised that he went with Forecast and not Fleet Lieutenant. You'd think he'd want to get units down. But I'm not in the finals here. And here's Anakin. Flips. He's a 6. I think attacking into Sabine to clear her is on the table for Jonah. That was a pass from Buku. Which makes sense. If you're going to play the Forecast, you want to wait till the Anakin attack. Joe taking advantage, slow rolls up, and whiffs the 3PO. I think going to base here, even without cutting the Sabine, is definitely an option for Jonah. He can hit for 6 now, plus 2, at least 2 with this interceptor, possibly 4. That brings Buku very close to death. Yeah, he's just gonna do it. Sabine can live. And we'll see if Buku passes again. If he does, and Jonah decides to hit, he'd be at 16. If he plays this Forecast and it gets at least 3, looks like he's not going to play the Forecast. So Jonah hits with the interceptor. Just 9 health left for Buku. And that's what I was saying about, Anakin turns the corner real quick. Jonah now has Bravado and Luke in hand. This one is almost sewn up for Jonah. Perilous is preventing Sabine from killing Anakin right now. Buku, I'm not sure if Buku has a timely intervention. No, that's not even. He could play it timely for a Fleet Lieutenant. Looks like he's just gonna hard cast Wrecker here. Puts 5 into Anakin. Forces the Anakin to attack now. Also turns off Bravado for Anakin. But Anakin attacks for 6. Jonah's now got... I think Buku has no way of answering this interceptor, which means... That's it. Yeah, we're going to game 2. Sabine is on the ropes here. Jonah's doing his sideboarding in public here if you guys want to watch, but I think we're just going to see open fire Perilous conquer Dawn, come in, maybe fell the dragon. But this is Buku's sideboard. He's got some things for you going later. I imagine we might see the third Darksaber, but we might also see Darksabers come out. As we can see, like, Village Protectors did a great job of just shutting that play line down for Buku. We might see the Adelphi Patrol Wing make it. We might also see Honorable Sacrifice. And looks like Buku, I was talking about Timely Intervention. Buku's only got Timelies in the sideboard. He doesn't have them in the main. Typically those are for like harder control matchups. We'll see if they make an appearance in this against this Anakin deck, which is kind of mid-rangey. I'm not an expert on Sabine sideboarding, so I don't know exactly when you'd bring Daring Raids in. Bright Hope is probably not going to make it because that seems like it's for the mirror. On Jonah's side, I think it's pretty simple. He's got a lot of one-offs in there for random matchups, and I think what it's going to be is just, Interceptor, Perilous, Open Fire, and I think he brought in the third Fallow Dragon as well, just to hit Posen Wreckers. Regional Governor. I was just talking about that with a teammate. We were doing some testing and thought it might be time for that card to make a comeback. Definitely helped Jonah in game 1 here. It stayed on board for the whole game and shut down that Poe. All right, going into game 2, Buku actually has a turn 1 play this time with that A-Wing. And a nice curve to follow. And he's got a Cassian also. So remember that for later. Hurts a little bit to be giving up the second K2, but I think it's the right move here. And Buku also gets initiative this time. All right, here's A-Wing. Jonah has Restored Arc, but something tells me that Buku's probably just going to claim and kill it. Ooh, Metal Ceremony picked up. That's an interesting one. So, Jonah or Buku has a line here that he could take, which could end up being pretty crazy if it goes off. And Jonah's got some things that could prevent it, but what I'm thinking of is he can go ECL, red 3, clear the Restored Arc, and then attack with A-Wing, and then Metal Ceremony them both. It looks like Buku is going to be a bit safer, less greedy. Just go for the kill onto the arc with the A-Wing that's already out there. And Jonah plays out a Yoda. Yoda is actually really tricky here. Jonah's got Force Throw in hand as well. Buku's got Metal Ceremony, which answers, it blanks Force Throw effectively. Let's see if he holds on to it. All right. It looks like Buku here is actually deciding not to use Sabine, even though he's already lost initiative. Okay, no, he's deciding to use him. Use her. All right. And If Force Throw doesn't come down here, this medal ceremony could be massive. If this game is like the last one, I think we're going to see an ECL here for K2. Yep. That seems to be the line. No overwhelm this time. Jonah seems like forgot his Yoda. No, he got it. All right. Killing the Yoda there turns off the force unit for force throw. So, I mean, Jonah could still play it just to attrite the hand a little bit. But it's not even, it's probably going to get spec force, not medal ceremony. Which means medal ceremony's now got 2 targets, and Sabine can flip here, also giving it a 3rd. And that's what's going to happen. Yeah, exactly. And Buku is equipping his rebels, letting them go and face the night. But he keeps picking up Spec Force soldiers. I mean, to be fair, like this turn going like fighters, Spec Force is not bad. And Jonah's a bit behind. He's gotta find a way to deal with all these units. As Anakin doesn't flip for another turn. Ooh, Pillage also comes in. I think Jonah was maining Pillages. So it's not all that surprising that they'd still be in here. If you're just joining us, this is the finals of Take the Initiative League Season 9. This is Game 2. Jonah got Game 1. It all comes down to this. The winner will be eternally remembered. Jonah's teammate, I'm So Humble, took down last season with the same deck that Buku's playing now, Sabine ECL. So either way, it's going to be a repeat, either a Sabine repeat or a Nordic Takedown repeat. Jonah is going to play the Kanan here. Sets up a force throw. Little does he know that force throw is, I mean, it's not going to be super impactful if he decides to use it on Buku. That is, at least. Buku also has the chance to just kill Kanan now with K2. Another thing that is looking better for Buku this game is that Jonah hasn't been able to keep any kind of unit to get chip damage on the base with. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, so Jonah decides to be safe. Force throw is his own card. And Buku is like, oh, I got you. I'm going to discard this Spec Force soldier. And Jonah says, no. I know what I'm doing here. All right, and all things considered, Jonah's not in a bad spot. He's taken 19, but that just means his Anakin's going to be massive. Buku's uses ECL, which eliminates some finishing capabilities. Buku is not going to use Cassian here, which keeps some cards in hand. but Buku is running out of options a little bit. And Village Protectors picked up here. Could be massive. Also got Conquer Down Interceptors. If Jonah wants this turn, he could play a Sentinel in both arenas. I do definitely like Cassian there as opposed to the going for, fighters and double Spec Force. Mainly because it gets around. Cassian doesn't die to Kanan gear, whereas Fighter Stream would. Even if he'd get down more things, makes it tricky. Now, if Jonah decides to go for these Sentinels, Spec Force does still exist, and you can carry them big time. And Buku did show Jonah the Spec Force last year when he was going for the Force Throw. So Jonah decides to lead with Village Protectors here, which is interesting, especially if you're playing on Force or Spec Force. Because in my mind, if I'm playing on Spec Force, I'm probably going Conquer Dawn first. To then, because Village Protectors theoretically walls off more. Jonah could also be making a bet that he'd actually rather the Spec Force be played on the Village Protectors because Conquer Down might get a kill on the A-Wing and he doesn't have another way to out it. So we'll see. Either way, the Spec Force is coming down now. Which that could mandate an Anakin flip now. Oh no, he's actually going to be. Ooh, he's going to use Anakin on Kanan. Kanan restores to effectively making it free. So he does easy to take. There we go. All right, Buku's got Fleet Lieutenant with A-Wing, and I think that's going to be it because Jonah doesn't have a way to deal with Cassian. All right, yep, that's it. And Anakin doesn't even flip. And we're going to a game 3. It really all comes down to this. Both those games, I think, were relatively dominant for the player that won. Buku was really ahead all of that second game, and Jonah was ahead all that first game. We'll see if game 3 is too close to call or if it's another blowout. Jonah, I do think, is structurally advantaged here. Having the initiative matters a lot in this matchup because he's running one of his big game plans here is to win a trade early in the game with Anakin's ability. Buku is doing some more sideboarding. This matchup definitely, you definitely make adjustments based on whether or not you're going first or second. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but Mace Blue, best deck in the format. Well, that's a hot take. All right, Darksaber is still in there. We speculated that it might end up getting cut because of village protectors, but Buku does not fear the village people. Oh. Also notable that we see Honorable Sacrifice here. That's a sideboard card that may or may not have come in. Buku's thinking about resourcing this Darksaber. Decides against it. Notably, Buku's got a 2-drop for either arena, so he can pull off the lane dodge here. And Jonah goes to space. Buku's going to go to ground with the Rebel Pathfinder. That's a card that has been out of Sabine for a while, and I think Buku's just got it as a one-of. But it does work a lot of the time. It's especially good into things like Village Protectors. Jonah picks up an open fire, which seems pretty strong as an answer to this Pathfinder. And Buku didn't have 3, but he did draw 1 here. Gets the Cassian. Which, you generally want to play it as a 5, but as a 3, it's pretty solid. And yep, there's the open fire from Jonah. And there's that Cassian. Jonah's starting to push damage with that Anakin's Interceptor. It adds up. It adds up. Interestingly, in both the first games, we saw a turn 3 ECL K2. And it looks like that's probably not going to happen this game. There's just no targets for it. Unless Jonah decides to play his K2 first, in which case maybe Jonah decides to go for it. But Jonah's hand is weird here. He's got K2, he's got double force throw as well. He's got the Luke, which won't be relevant for a while. Nothing that directly answers Cassian here. Buku's got Darksaber, and it may be able to go off and get a hit in. pass from JonahNiklas. And Buku's just gonna presumably another pass there. Yep. And hardcast K2. Jonah's not. Buku, sorry, is playing around things like Village Protectors that aren't there. All right, Jonah takes 3 here from the Sabine. Jonah's got his K2 down. K2's not a force unit, unfortunately, and I don't believe Anakin's Interceptor is as well, or is either. So these force throws are not at their maximum potential at the moment. Jonah picking up a couple units here. Regional Governor and C3PO. Which could make appearances here. Remember that Jonah does have the Anakin ability online, so he can kill any of these units with this K2, even though it looks like he can't. He just has to take a little bit of extra damage to do it. It looks like he's just going to go for the straight up trade, though. And both players going for damage. And Buku says, I'm just going to go for it. Play that Darksaber. C3PO. That's a hit. Perilous position. Just a little bit too late to stop the Sabine. That is going to be 7 to base. Turns on this Anakin's Interceptor, technically. But Jonah may be forced to claim here to use the Perilous on Sabine while he still has the chance. But even if he does that, like, he's still bleeding hard here because Cassian's going to get a hit in, bringing Jonah to 22. And Buku still has ECL up and Wrecker in hand, and also Timely Intervention as well. And Jonah says, I'm going to risk it. Get that hit in with the Interceptor. And now does... if I'm Buku, I'm probably just claiming hitting with Sabine while I can. If that happens, Jonah does have a lifeline here, which is, Governor Call Wrecker, which maybe keeps him in it. But it's Buku's action. He's got to decide what to do, to Cassian or to claim. And it is to claim. Jonah also has the option here of just preemptory paralyzing, which saves you damage guaranteed. It's only 2. But playing the regional governor is, it doesn't actually save you damage immediately. Now, we also have to remember, Jonah's done a lot of damage here. Anakin flips next turn. At the moment, Anakin would be hitting for 7. But if he takes just 1 more damage, it'd be 8. If he takes 7 more damage, it would be 9. Buku's only got 11 health left. I think one way or another, there's a very good chance this one ends next turn. All right, and Jonah's going for the governor line. And it is Wrecker. Ooh, Fleet Lieutenant picked up. It really all comes down to this round. Whoever can navigate this one better, I think, is going to be the winner. And I think it will be decided this round. I think the odds we go to another one are pretty unlikely. But it always is possible here in the TTI League. Stranger things have happened. If you ask me, I think my money's on Jonah right now. But if it is him, it's only going to be by the slimmest margin. He can open with a massive salvo of 9 to base by going Fleet Lieutenant Sabine, bringing Jonah to 28. It looks like he is. It looks like I think he sees the writing on the wall that if he does that, he's not going to be. He's not going to win the exchange, and he decides to go kill that regional governor, which puts the Wrecker back on the menu. ECL Wrecker stops Anakin from coming down this turn. Jonah still can fight, so it looks like I think we might actually be going to another round. If that is the play from Buku. Because if Buku's stubborn enough, Anakin's not going to end it. Anakin, if he flipped right now, would be... Ooh, perilous use here on the Cassian. Anakin would be big enough to trade with Wrecker on the crackback. So Jonah doesn't have to worry about that. Looks like Jonah's taken back his play here. If Wrecker did land a hit on the Anakin, it would be 5 overwhelm. All right, 3PO calls 3, gets Cassian. I do agree with Jonah's decision to keep the perilous there. I think he's gonna need it as this game goes on. All right, Cassian goes to base now, which means a hit from Sabine next turn is lethal. A hit from Wrecker this turn is 1 off of lethal, but Buku can't do that because Anakin would be lethal for Jonah on the crackback. Which means Buku has to pass here or take it, or no, he can't take initiative. He can't spend resources. This is tricky. Jonah, I think, is probably going to open fire this Cassian, which just saves him some headache. Buku presumably is passing again. Which means I think there's a good chance Jonah decides to just end this one by taking initiative and then open perilous the Sabine. He's hovering over the button, but he's having second thoughts, and looks like, yep, that's going to happen. Exactly. So I was wrong. We're going into a new round. Luke picked up. That actually could be... That could potentially be massive. Potentially. Yeah, so there's the open perilous. Onto the Sabine. Both players have 7 health left. Two more hits from this interceptor plus a hit from 3PO is lethal for Buku. Which really is putting Buku on a time crunch. Jonah has the threat of being able to flip Anakin for lethal. So I think Jonah's gonna get this one. Maybe there's a line I'm not seeing. Is Buku just gonna scoop it up? It looks like he is, yeah. Because or maybe that was lag, but looks like a scoop. Because the dilemma here is Buku can't play anything, because otherwise he takes away the threat of ECL Wrecker to kill Anakin, which means Buku just goes, 3PO attack, interceptor attack. If Buku claims he can... Wait, didn't Buku have a fleet lieutenant in hand? Well, no, Buku couldn't have claimed, because if he claims, that also leaves open the door for Anakin to flip. So I think Buku just had it in the race, and that's it. JonahNiklas becomes your TTI League Season 9 champion. Congratulations. That was a good one. That last game was really close. The first two were kind of blowouts, but that third game, it really came down to it. Jonah, it just a couple plays really decided that one. And because Jonah kept that perilous position, he was able to knock the Sabine off just a little bit. And the fact that it lasted really prevented Buku from getting it there. That was a good one. Glad I stayed up late for that one. But it is closing in on 3 a.m. for me, so I should probably get some sleep. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will have Season 10 Top Cut starting soon. Deck lists are due in just about 21 hours now, so should have those up sometime soon. We've already got some interesting ones submitted, so thank you for tuning in, and remember to always take the initiative.